Hello everyone. Today we will try to understand the definition and meaning of adverb clauses in a very simple manner. But before that, we will understand the meaning of adverb. So, an adverb is a word that modifies or describes a verb, an adjective or another adverb. Which means एक ऐसा शब्द जो एक verb, एक adjective और एक दूसरे adverb की विशेषता बताता है. Now, the definition of an adverb has also a second part, which is very important while understanding the meaning of adverb clause, which is that it describes how, where, when, how often and why something happens. मतलब वो ये भी बताता है कि कोई चीज कब, कहाँ, कैसे, कितनी बार और क्यों हुई. Now we will understand the meaning of adverb with the help of a few examples. So the first example is that I run slowly. In this sentence, run is a verb and slowly is describing run. Therefore, we can say that slowly in this sentence is an adverb. In the next example, I saw a very pretty dress in the mall. In this sentence, pretty is an adjective because it is describing dress. If you want to understand the meaning of adjective, simply it is that it is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. Dress in this sentence is a noun and pretty is describing the dress. Therefore, it is an adjective. And very in turn is describing pretty कि वो एक बहुत सुंदर dress है. And therefore, we can say that very in this sentence is an adverb. In the last sentence, he speaks very softly. Now, softly in this sentence is an adverb. Why? Because it is describing speak, a verb. And in turn, very is describing softly. That is, वो बहुत प्यार से बोलता है. And therefore, we can say that in the last sentence, very is an adverb. Now, we will move to the definition and meaning of adverb clause. An adverb clause is a group of words that function as an adverb in a sentence. Now, what is a clause? A clause is simply a group of words. Okay. Now, before moving forward, we have to understand that there are two types of clauses, an independent clause and a dependent clause. So, a dependent clause is a clause that is incomplete in itself, जो अपने आप में पूरा नहीं होता है और वो एक डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज के इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज के ऊपर आश्रित होता है. Whereas an independent clause is a clause that is complete in itself. We will understand it simply with the help of examples, but as of now, एक इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज वो क्लॉज होता है जो अपने आप में पूरा होता है और अपने आप में सेंस बना रहा होता है. नाउ it is important to understand that adverb clauses in most of the cases are dependent clauses. मतलब वो अपने आप में पूरे नहीं होते. Now, moving on to the examples. The first example is that unless you run fast, you will miss the bus. Now, in this sentence, the highlighted part is an adverb clause. We will understand how. So now, before that, we will recall the definition of adverb. So in the definition of adverb, in the second definition of adverb, we stated that it also describes how, where, when, how often, and why something happens. Okay. And we also understood that an adverb clause is a dependent clause. Okay. Now coming back to the example. Unless you run fast, you will miss the bus. Unless you run fast in this sentence is a dependent clause. It is dependent on the other part of the sentence. Also, it is answering the question when. When you will miss the bus, which is, the answer is unless you run fast. जब तक तुम तेज नहीं भागोगे, तब तक तुम बस को मिस कर दोगे. Okay. Therefore, in this sentence, unless you run fast is an adverb clause. Understood? Now, in the second example, before we go on vacation, we must book the tickets. It is answering the question when. That is, when we must book the tickets, and the answer is before we go on vacation. हमें वेकेशन पे जाने से पहले टिकट्स बुक कर लेने हैं, right? And before we go on vacation is a dependent clause, and that is dependent on the other part of the sentence. And therefore, we can say that it is an adverb clause. And in the last example, send us a message when you come back home. It is describing and answering the question when. कि तुम हमें एक मैसेज कर देना जब तुम घर पे पहुंचो. Also, as we are understanding that when you come back home is a dependent clause, which means that it is not complete in itself and it is dependent on the other part of the sentence. And when both the clauses meet, we form a sentence. And therefore, we can say that when you come back home, as it is answering the question when, and it is a dependent clause, we can say that it is an adverb clause. Simple. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर लिसनिंग. आई होप अब आपको एडवर्ब क्लॉज से रिलेटेड बोर्ड्स में कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी. थैंक यू.